Hi, I'm Fatima Hersey, reading from Arlington, Texas on Poets for Ferguson. If you have not already done so, please do visit our GoFundMe page. All of that is very, very important. You are helping people who really need it with their legal fees, who should not need it, who should not be in this situation. So please do pitch in. I'm going to be reading some new work today, some old work, and I'm just going to jump right in. The first poem I'm going to read is called Wishing. My uncle calls me each day. I push 5 to hear his voice. I come home to letters written in blue ink that tell me, know that you are a strong woman and the first teacher of civilizations. Know that we have not had a bad day if we wake up in the mornings. I want to live in a world where my uncle wakes up in the mornings and eats a breakfast of his choice. A world where men who kill teenagers for looking suspicious carrying Skittles and iced tea aren't released and then pulled over and speeding. A world where a man who says, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, is not murdered by police in a chokehold. A world where kids aren't killed by hunters with guns, poaching in streets, shooting animals without defense of teeth or claw, but with large, large body, the thrill of the conqueror, dark, dark coat, how fine it will look on their wall. Don't talk to me about pretty eyes. You don't know nothing about my eyes with your words like a lawnmower in early morning before I'm ready to wake up, bringing me out of myself, making me too aware, more scared than I should be, more scared than I was just a minute ago when I was safe and you were a stranger who posed no threat. Now you want to get something. You think me in flip-flops and unwashed hair left my house so your mouth could talk to me about pretty eyes, so your mouth could talk to me about how I should smile, so your mouth could say more than any woman wants. This is called Questions for Spirits. On the fringe of the woods are children with kites. Inside are things with teeth, cruel claw and hungry throat, more than the feathers of yeats. My mother tells me the park is dangerous in the evening alone. The changing of the leaves to gold signifies a time to turn back and leave bobcat sightings for another day. She would be appalled that I linger to hear the invisible train that cannot exist in these trees. This must be a magic forest. Playing sounds come from no solid atoms, shapes only seen from corner of eye. 2. My mother thinks something horrible will find me now. Some man with sick mind and bad manners who sees me and sees only wormhole. We just watched a movie together called The Lovely Bones about a girl who didn't know she was being watched. Someone she knew made her breath past tense, heartbeat past tense, smile past tense, and he did it again and again and again before her. In life, there are people we see each day. The man in that movie lived down the street from the girl he killed. So many familiar faces, so many familiar strangers. At work, I see my customers in a new light. Cliven Bundy bright bulb to shock me into anger. How many of those gruff old men who ignore me when I speak think I would be better off as a slave? How many of those wide-brimmed hats were passed down by fathers in the KKK? On my break, I flipped through a black and white book, The Invisible Empire, men in hoods and out of them, their families, their wives, hugging children already versed in hate, wearing t-shirts that name them knights. This is Lone Star country. Texas soil so rich beneath the Mason-Dixie line, where cotton was the cruelest bitch and unknown numbers of souls behind eyes think I should be picking white clouds from long stems. Where man, when hard body cannot be used, will invade a woman's womb with paper and pen and legislation to get what he wants, the right to life, the right to see his seed born and raised right because God says so. Texas, where more people die than in any other state as a component system of a justice system God did not make. 4. Sometimes I imagine what comes after we die. Lovely bones and dreams that may come show a world where we decide what to do at death. Is it all a Rosario Castellanos poem? Terrible silence. Perhaps I should take some DMT, ask those celestial beings to tell me all the secrets. Like, how do I fly a kite with as much skill as those kids? How do I look at beautiful limbs of trees without seeing strange fruits hang at end of rope? How do I go to work and smile at people who have hated me longer than I've lived? Why do spirits always show themselves blurry? How come no one shoots the people in sheets for being threats to the safety of the neighborhood? How come there are people in sheets? Can the flyers in Rome just be a very bad joke? Is it really 2014? Will we still have trees when I die? Will I ever have children? And how should I answer their questions like these? Why do spirits always answer so blurry? This is one that I just wrote at the Austin Feminist Poetry Festival. This is called Disrepair. My body is a used refrigerator waiting out, and I haven't read it publicly yet, obviously. My body is a used refrigerator waiting for death outside of a dumpster. It sits. Instead of a truck that crushes curves into angles, it is picked up by boys who never learn to clean. I do not try to teach them. I let them drag me, introduce me to the filthy kitchen where my underbelly becomes home to many families of roaches. Sometimes they crawl up my deepest parts and lay eggs that will never hatch. This is called Ursula Baby. That girl is worm burrowing through foot in woods beyond the ocean at the end of the lane. At night she wiggles. I come awake, try to dig her out, but she just goes deeper, whispers, "No sleep for you." She sings in the flesh of my heel melodies of half-truths told in riddles unsolvable to minds so steeped in logic. I try to scratch the surface, find where she hides, but my nails are not sharp enough. Too much curve against skin. She stretches my body along the length of my arch, smiles, taunts. Soon you will end. I will eat your heart. This is Monday Thoughts, because Mondays suck, and other stuff. And I have a cool picture to go with it. I forgot about that. So see this girl with, like, her face in soup? Yeah, that's how I feel on Mondays. So, this will be me tomorrow, absent, ignorant of mistakes made by body. Mind will be in the void, swallowed by her eyes. That's what spaghetti hair looks like, except that's not angel hair. That is too thick, not the right consistency to feel nice in my mouth. I swear I'm not talking about a racist or a rapist or a racist rapist. I swear it reminds me of bleeding. Soon I will start bleeding. I will become this woman. My body will weigh me down. That place on my back where man puts hand in gentle sway of dance will ache so much. This is Sleeping Beauty Before Bed. This mind acts like it has a reason to hang its head low, as though it has known any kind of real pain. Silly bruises made by men fade and become new skin. The heart that believed it could not break anymore is broken again, but back together, reshaped into a sculpture less fragile than the last. And still, that final ailment, vast like space to an astronaut with no tether to her ship, just a pinprick compared to what others endure. To traverse the length of whole countries alone, little feet bleeding, heart always beating, unsure who was friend or foe, all that unspeakable hurt, only to arrive and be told, "We do not want you, go back home." What are rules to someone trying to keep from dying? What God will judge? look down and frown because someone did not wait in line, did not fill out proper form to afford the right to come and be hated, no matter the situation, no matter the daily fight those angry faces could never comprehend. To be that kind of blind and that type of white, to hold protest signs so high and proud and wrong in the face of a loving God. What a privilege, the forgiveness that comes after we turn to dust. I'm going to read one I wrote last night on the street. So I write poems for people with my typewriter on sidewalks, and I wrote one for this guy about the immigrant experience, and it felt really good to write it. So this is called, this doesn't have a name. He studies the immigrant experience of people who come over from Asia, and they think they have their visa and all their paperwork's in line, and they work and they work, and they think that their work was valued, and then we shove them away and say, go back home, we don't want you. So this is that. Mountains are tucked into a suitcase. The sounds of tongue nose are made to be silenced. Somewhere there is food that means mother, but it is not here. Not in these cities that forgot the smell of flowers. Here there are towers and towers and towers that promise a better life, a better future for any child of times to come. Bodies come here when they are young, expecting to grow old in these cities, and these cities do not know how to treat a heart. These cities do not know all that is involved in starting over again after you thought you were finished starting over. These cities know only how to turn a dollar, how to make what cannot feed the spirit when food that means mother is absent. Speaking of mothers, this is called the pink fight. 9 women here, and my mother is one of 3 without a man by her side. She has me looking scared like these men, as though we are the ones here to see a doctor. The other 2 don't have this. No daughter or friend to be vessel into which they can pour their fear so they can manage to walk when their names are called. Miss Mathis is older than my grandmother and has no one to hold her hand or follow her through the double doors. Miss Neal is also alone, and I wonder if before her hair fell away she wore it long or short, and if she came here, if she had someone here not today to trail their fingers through its strands. Now she wears a black baseball cap scattered with pink sequined flowers beside the word fight. From please forgive our mess waiting room, down a hall to 4 more walls and 5 familiar women dressed to fight. Pink tops, all folds and strings, and Miss Neal now sitting matching her hat. Miss Mathis holds her face and is crying, silent and still and perfect, like she might offend a god by letting her bad news be heard, or by letting her shoulders move an inch. I want to hug her, but then my mother is called, and I am crying too with my face in my hands and arms leaning on knees and feet getting wet because I don't believe in proper shoes. And then my mother comes out smiling. She hugs me in a bright green dress with flowers of her own and says I'll never need to write another poem on striped or checkered carpet. She's all right. We've no fight. Just prayers for all the other women in waiting rooms in pink. Here's another mom poem. This is called Unraveling. I love my mom. More and more, when I see my mother, she is unraveling. She is a ball of yarn freshly unpacked from Joann's fabric store, the expensive kind, unwinding in all types of color, too beautiful to not attract the fatal eyes of cats. Her health is the paw that bats her around, blood sugar at 600, blood pressure at 183/110, her breast, that part of herself she says makes her woman, infected so that one drains out on the covers in the night, cries of pain while she drives, inside her womb not right and no insurance or money. We had to drive to Irving to meet my father's friend so that he could help us pay for her meds. Did you know when you lose your job, you must wait 3 months to apply for Medicaid? Did you know if you do not work but receive money from the state that barely covers your rent, your affordable health care cost estimate could be up to $600? The emergency room doctor said was sad for our tears. What to do when you need surgery from a specialist who will not accept patients without a group ID. He took tissue to my cheek and said, "You're breaking my heart. It's unfortunate that you fall into a donut hole with no coverage. I want to help you." And then he cried like I am as I unravel in my man's arms after a day of watching my mother unravel like a ball of yarn being batted around by a cat. He doesn't ask what's wrong. Instead, he traces the words all faded in my palm, rubs each finger like it is the back of a baby with gas that will not escape its body. And then as I write this poem in my head and he kisses every part of my face, I break again. Fleeting metaphor of baby enough to make me give in to the whiskey I drank before falling apart the first time at the thought of my mother unraveling. Okay. Speaking of babies, this is my chapbook. It's called Her. It's all my I Want Baby poems. And you can't see it, but that doesn't really matter because I'm just going to read. I'm going to read Doll Making. First time I read this poem, it was at Natty Roots and Rhyme, and I think I cried for 3 hours afterward. Go to the store. Buy a few bags of cotton balls. Pile them high in your arms and hold them close. Take them home and mix them with jasmine petals so she is part flower. This will be her body. Buy a new needle and thread because the ones you have now will not do. All these things to make your child must be unused or kept just for this time. Look at the fabric. Choose the roughest material you find so her skin endures well the cuts of the world. She will not be delicate or easily break. Make her brown like a tamarind seed. Make her dress white. Sew on shells for eyes because she is half of the sea. Mango core will beat as her heart. She will have a cinnamon bark nose and full lips of tiny pink beads. She does not wear red on her face before she bleeds like a woman. Go to the abandoned bedroom. Find the box in the closet filled with treasures from when you were her age to be. Pull out all the crushed, dark feathers you found in the street and at the park and while riding your bike. This will be her hair. Make it wild. Make it a mess. Dress her in jewelry of amethyst stones so she knows to trust her spirit and sees truly when she dreams. And hematite to ground her and keep her at peace. Let her feet be bare so she is all the way of the earth. When she is all sewn up and glued and kiss hard in those places she may fall apart, take her outside in the night. Let her bathe in the moon. Cover her in tears and give her some blood and pray, pray, pray that she become enough until later, when she is let through to breathe and crawl and run and cry and smile. Pray that while you follow the rules, wait, exercise the most excruciating patience, that she takes away the whole keeping you awake. Pray. Let's see, how about one more from in here. I'm going to read Bereft. Because I like writing about rainbows and sunshine. Oh, shoot. Oops, big mistake. Here we go. Pushing this farther away now. Bereft. If I ever had a child, I would wait 10 days before giving it a name. I would make sure it survived. I would wait 10 days after it died to wrap it in white, having watched it decay. After it died, I would mourn alone. Keep my little one bundled at home, safe from cold earth and worms. I would mourn alone. My man would leave, and I would grieve with hair shorn with a knife from a dumpster. My man will leave and say he could not stay with the smell. Crazy. My baby is sweeter than jasmine, but you cannot stay with the smell. I breathe her in. Back against chest, head beneath chin, we still sleep together each night. I breathe her in. Back against chest, she rests in my arms as I burn all my books and the art from my walls. I want no distractions. More poems, more poems. You can see I'm very, very organized. How about... Okay, here's another mom poem. So my mom has diabetes, and that's a thing. This is called Dark Comedy. My mother smells like candy, and I can't think of which one. I know it's something red flavored like fruit, ends in letter Y, but still I can't think of which one. I want to believe I am wrong, and the only food passing through lips was killed, planted, plucked. I want to believe I am wrong, but I know her so well. If I ask, I know she will tell me blood sugar fell, had to keep it up. I know her so well, I can hear her say how she needed something sweet to stay alive, hint of smile. I can hear her say she's afraid to have a stroke, die, leave all us kids alone, even though soulmate calls from bright grave. She's still afraid to have a stroke, and I do not know how she loves me. Do I know how she loves me? Did she tell me today that she loves me? Do I have any candy? Okay, this is called Young Vagina Story. I renamed it on my blog because I found out the reason I had so many hits was because people were using the search terms young pussy. So this is no longer called that because I don't want to support those people in their quest. When I was a little girl, I had a friend, a cousin through the fictive kinship we shared between families. I was in 3rd grade while she was in 5th. That year before she went into 6th grade and left me behind, we learned to find everything sacred in our bodies together. We would walk to her house after school and we would be the only ones home. We would take off our clothes and touch each other. We would moan so loud it's amazing her neighbors never told her mom what we did. One day my uncle came to pick me up and I didn't know he was coming, and we were so involved in our sounds and our skin that we didn't hear him at the door until it was too late. I didn't hug her goodbye that day. I was afraid that if by some miracle my uncle didn't know, our tense farewell would give everything away. In the car, he said, I know what was going on in there. I guess he didn't tell my mom, or she didn't care, because I still walked home with Sade after school. Sometimes I even spent the night. Her mom made us bathe together to save water and time. We would sit in opposite ends of the tub, legs spread, bodies slick, holding parts apart to better see into each other's insides. So much pink between those lips. The end of that year, her flat chest became breast I could cup with my hands. She filled out her bra. She grew hair where I didn't know it could grow. We were explorers of caverns and caves. We left the bath for her tiny twin bed, touching all night until claimed by sleep. I don't know why we never kissed. Maybe that would have meant crossing an invisible line that meant we were something not easily defined by the limited vocabulary of youth. The next year, when she began middle school, I'd see her at the bus stop, arms crossed, hair in tight bun, shorts barely hiding most treasured gifts. We'd lock eyes as she'd recognize our car. We never waved. I wondered if now she gave everything we had to boys. Here's one. This is Fantasy Schizophrenia. I'm still working on it. I'm trying to do some things, but first draft. I keep hearing birds everywhere, at work, in my car, home alone at night when all the real birds sleep. The sounds change. Chirping becomes children in the distance laughing. I become a child again, hearing sounds I know only I hear. And just like then, I'm not scared. I am a grown-up. We aren't scared of children nobody can see. This is poltergeist, when the chairs were like Legos in the kitchen. I know I should be scared because the bad comes with the good, but the good is so good. It feels so good to be special. I would be so special if I could hold one, if this were beloved instead, and I was loved as much as Seth. I could hold my very own baby, wearing woman's breasts beneath black dress, black hat, black shoes. If a baby would choose to come to me, it would be mine, and I would take flowers from leaves.
Is Hanif Willis Abdurraqib. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I'm currently reading from Manchester, New Hampshire. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. I really appreciate the opportunity to be among poets, sharing our voices in this way. Please remember to go to poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. Tumblr's TUMBLR.com. There you can find the GoFundMe link and donate, which is very important, as well as listen to the poems and finding out the cause of all of this. I will read a poem or two. I'm going to read a suite of poems dealing with the loss of Black life. The suite of poems is called Genesis 9, a declaration for those giving themselves to heaven. 1. A lesson in cardio. It was first my father who told me not to run through the green, perfectly manicured neighborhood that reluctantly coiled itself around our grime-ridden ghetto utopia, the way a tiger may protect the weakest of its young while also praying for a swift death. The chalk in our inner city classrooms would resist the natural pull of every blackboard, figured its only purpose was to outline the cold bodies of black boys pressing into the sidewalks, drowned in red lights, and grandmas too tired to be bothered by the ceremony of it all. And they wondered why our test scores were low, like bank accounts, like expectations, like the volume of my father's TV when dawn broke over Los Angeles in 1992, or it may have just been flames. I hear in the middle of most wars, anything which swallows darkness is a blessing. I hear in the middle of most quiet suburban neighborhoods, anything which swallows darkness is a blessing. This lesson, birthed from the static of a hand-me-down television, is how I was taught that 24 times around my block equaled 3 miles. 3 miles around my block equaled 5 mothers who once slept in the beds of their dead children, woke up the block with screams sometimes, till we all just got earplugs and better speakers. 5 mothers equaled 2 new churches, stretched high. The old homeless lady on Main say the only thing they build on my block now be funeral homes and churches. Says, since the foundation on these old homes be dying off faster than the bodies inside of them, something has to hold the prayers in the walls. Something has to give the dead solace. Churches stretch so high, she said. High like the dealers got a hold of the steeple. Asked me one day, how long the night sky been black? Is this a declaration of all of our bodies surrendered after the sun rusts and falls away, climbing up the night? It ain't nothing but all them black souls being called home to the promised land, you think? Eventually, my father got a gym membership. 2. The author's guilt critiques an open mic. You ever watched a whole city burn and fold in on itself like a bad poker hand? You ever smelled the sweetness that rises from a smoldering corner store in the hood, the weight of the air drenched in all that sugar, still aching for a black body to slide into Ever seen the way those blackbirds bend the branches of trees above these graves like they got orders from God himself? Ain't no metaphor ever unearthed nobody's bones and sent them back to dance among the living once more. Ain't no metaphor ever wrapped its arms around the trembling back of a little brother and explained the swarm of black feathers lining his front yard, the darkening of the earth at his feet. Ain't no poetry ever made its body wide, open like the Midwest plains, and stepped in front of a bullet. War sounds so beautiful when each sound touches and explodes. In Alabama, an old woman cocks a shotgun while her house burns to the ground. In Chicago, I hear caskets slamming shut the same time as public school doors. How do the poets out here sleep with all the racket? In ancient Egypt, they would put the most royal of bodies in a sarcophagus, a receptacle for a corpse, Greek for flesh eating. In America now, they're on sale to anyone. It's all metaphors and dead boys with y'all, all toothless wolves still eyeing the hunt, but you ain't never smelled a city burn, close in on itself. All that thick, heavy air and the birds that don't even move. 3. Reincarnation explained by the queen of an East Side nursing home. She says, but then again, I don't believe we're all tied to one flesh anyway. Like, what is a soul to do when it tires of a body but rush into another body? That's all it knows, after all. Souls been making their way in a body since we got here. Ain't no telling how many souls still hanging over the Atlantic Ocean just looking for a body. Some people got 3, maybe 4 souls residing right there inside of them. Betty, over there dying, she keeps saying when she goes, she wanted her soul to end up inside a cat. She says she want to see what it's like not to need no one to love her. I say she's crazy. Sometimes the new souls be all it takes for an old body to do some good, like they be coming back to tell the world no hard feelings. In Cleveland, they be more concerned with missing teeth than missing bodies, but that ain't mean that one man don't got the souls of 3 or 4 black boys long gifted to the earth lining his bones. That man say he ain't no white girl gonna run in a black man's arms, and I tell Betty that white girl saw the souls, figured she would run to them, embrace them like an apology, like, we sorry we made the earth surrender your flesh you called a kingdom under its violent delusions. I told everyone in the home that day. Hands looked young on that man, innocent, like raised to the heavens and still met with bullets innocent. I seen the minstrel shows in my day. They still be wanting our heroes to dance, you know. But Betty just want to come back as a cat, want to be left alone. She crazy. 4. A working list of things dead black men are most certainly not, according to the internet. An angel, still black, still running, in heaven, in hell, in college, still black, praising the sun and its compassionate burn upon black skin, worth crying over. A double standard, a gold standard, running as a second language. Someone's little boy, everyone's little boy, still black. A shipwreck of gospel in gold teeth, in corn syrup, another tithe for the slow dance of progress, a song loud enough to drown out screaming mothers, reminding someone of their nephew still black. A saint, too holy for bullets, too holy for mistakes, too holy for the walk home inside of a dark night, chained to something it don't call a country, 3 miles and still running, still black, still black, still black, alive. That was actually the only poem I planned on reading, but I'll read another one or 2. Again, go visit poetsforferguson.tumblr.com and donate. And also, I really encourage everyone to stay focused on the news. a lot of the things happening there aren't being widely broadcast, and Twitter is a huge resource to finding out what's happening and really immersing yourself in what is going on in Ferguson. So I really encourage people to not sleep on that, even if having conversations about it in public spaces is frustrating. Don't sleep on what's happening. All right. In praise of the black barbershop. This faithful river we flow to when our growing becomes untamed and in need of a humbling only the blade can deliver inside of four walls that are not the ones where we live, where we come to get the real news, the type that does not show up on Channel 4 at 6 a.m. over a drying and cold meal, the news about who got dunked on over at the park where the rims stay curved like the bad fades Darren be handing out on those mornings after catching a heavy hand in one of those back alley dice games down the block. This new school southern porch where the gossip and the gospel brew in the same pot, rattle the lights while we drink it down. I would say this may be the only way left to get free. Even the young boys who squirm in the chair while the clipper's teeth nip at their foreheads know the slight blood which dries on the head is a penance that must be paid in exchange for the freshness they will carry with them for weeks to come. Let us not apologize for black hands spilling black blood, only this time, when it is done with gentle hands and ends in a country that does not fear what rests atop your head as much as they already do the rest of you. Let us not apologize for the language that leaps from the tongue when some old head who never takes his shades off lifts Illmatic from the boombox and slides in something that reminds him of the last time freedom could run through the fingers of a people this easy, when it was as simple as the falling to the ground of something unwanted that has outgrown us. Consider the constant buzzing that swallows the air here, the heat. This may be the only way left to take it ragged and heavy, like boots being dragged over broken glass. For a moment, you must consider that when I say this is heaven, what I mean is this is what it must have felt like for that brief moment when our ancestors were first unshackled from the land, when they thought it would finally become theirs too, before they actually knew the horizon and what it carried. Thanks to everyone who put this together. Some old head who never takes his shades off. I'm going to read boombox and slides in something and then call it a day. I'll read a short poem and then call it quits, if that's cool. This is newer. If it is the summer of 2009 and you are in a car with more bodies inside than the number of doors outside and Party in the USA comes on the radio, everyone sings along. We do not discuss this. It just happens. Even when the AC does not work and the sun rummages through your skin searching for something to claim and split open, or even when inside of this wet and rusting machine carried through your family like a sickness, your hand brushes up against the hand you were too shy to pull onto the dance floor while some band squeezed one more encore out of the night. Singing along to Party in the USA with the windows down is some non-negotiable shit, even if you have to hit the cruise control on an empty highway to close your eyes and throw your head back on a high note. No one pretends that they do not know all the words. Like this song, this sweet and heavy meal did not arrive in the stomachs of kids like us pleading for a heaving escape into some night we will bookmark for when we are holding babies and craving nostalgia. Everybody sings every word, even Jason, who was so punk rock he bleeds on everything. So punk rock he is almost always playing dead, a trick he learned when we were boys in the bar down on Livingston cut his father off way before last call, and there were no more things for a man to break in his own home except for the bones of something that reminded him of himself. We all sing, though the singing cannot forgive our youth for being a storm cloud, cannot conjure the shell of any home where our mothers are still breathing and slow dancing in the family room. Sing because it is good to own something in this country. It is good to let something pass through your mouth and blend with other voices that maybe know the kind of loss you carry, or at least they will by the time we get to the second chorus or the end of the song altogether, or however long it takes for the sun to have its fill of us and leave town, everything in its wake a puddle we revel in long enough to forget that we are black and in our 20s, which is to say that we are too old for all this shit, and by this shit I of course mean living. I of course mean that we have carried the lifeless bodies of enough younger brothers to never forget that we should have the decency to unburden America by our dying on the side of a cracked road. Perhaps this explains the silence that grows ripe in a car pulled over on I-70 at 2 a.m. with no one in sight but us and 4 police officers who took our lane, swerving joy for inebriation or worse, the knowing of what we may leave behind when we step out of a car, how there are so many ways to demand raised hands even after the party ends and screams cut into a night now so gutted it can only be a casket, or even wrecked by our trembling we oblige everything. After all, they are playing our song. Thank you guys. Remember to go and donate and stay on the news. Stay woke.
Okay. Hi, I'm J.P. Howard, reading from Brooklyn, New York. With me is Nicholas Howard Jennings, my 10-year-old son. Today is his birthday, and we're honored to participate in Poets for Ferguson, such an important reading that we're having. I encourage everyone to go to the website, poetsforferguson.com, poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. Please support their GoFundMe campaign. I'm going to start by reading some poems. I have a chapbook of poems I've been working on called Who Will Write a Love Poem for Our Black Boys? And Nick will end with reading his poem in memory of Trayvon Martin. This is a new poem written in the last month. Chant. This poem is trigger. It repeats names, sounds, suns, decades, cities, spilled blood, gunshot wounds, police, please, open caskets, hoodies, arms up, wannabe police, eyes gouged, arms down, not talking, black boys, baby boys, tall boys, slightly built boys, used to be somebody's boy, look like a grown man boy, good morning, scream, mama's morning, chant, pray, wail, Queens, New York, Ferguson, Missouri, Sanford, Florida, Moni, Mississippi, Bronx, New York, Jacksonville, Florida, 6 shots, 50 shots, that shot through the head again, chokehold, barbed wire, candlelight vigils, press conferences, bright lights, big cities, small towns, cycles of names repeat, stories repeat, years repeat, run together, 1955, 1999, 2006, 2012, 2014, 2017, lights out again. Remember their names, repeat their names, repeat after me. Emmett, Amadou, Sean, Jordan, Michael, Trayvon, Trayvon, Michael, Jordan, Sean, Amadou, Emmett. Insert, replace with new name. Repeat this poem. My next poem is a series of tankas for Ferguson. And I'm going to read this poem both backwards and forwards, because I think either way it works. We be quiet like a whisper. We be midnight shining sun. We be daylight dead. We bystanders bear witness. Cover the child, please. We be waiting for cover. Hot pavement, a final home. We be mama's child. We be a last memory. We be split skin scream. We be split skin scream. We be a last memory. We be mama's child. Hot pavement, a final home. We be waiting for cover. Cover the child, please. We bystanders bear witness. We be daylight dead. We be midnight shining sun. We be quiet like a whisper. This is a tanka for the mothers. Trigger. Brown boys walk off the street into my heart. Before burial, her baby had that same spark, same laugh, a place to call home. Trigger. Call mama before the burial ground becomes your new home. Suspicious brown boys, beware your walk home on a warm night. And this is an elegy for our brown boys. And this is in memory of all of the brown boys that we have lost way too soon. We bury you, gouged out eye staring back. We remove your hoodie, cut barbed wire from around your neck, place your mangled body on display. Our mothers' wails fill churches and funeral homes, ground swollen with our grief. You, brown boy, looking like a grown man, your teenage laugh swimming down the Tallahatchie River. You let your eye out to wander. You whistled. You pulled a hoodie over your head. You giggled nervously. You looked suspicious. You looked like a grown man. Your handsome smile freeze-framed. This is how we carry you. The tips of our mother's fingers worn, tracing wallet-sized photos. This is how we carry our brown boys. This next poem is a found poem for Trayvon Martin. Every last word in this poem is from an article written about shooting targets that were made in the silhouette image of Trayvon Martin. The man in the video had no intention of target practice. He confirmed a company offered for sale a target, a faceless silhouette, wearing a hoodie, his hands in his pockets, one of which was holding two objects. These objects were non-threatening. The target was acting suspiciously. His faceless silhouette was a novelty. The man shot the silhouette in self-defense. His intentions have been misunderstood. He didn't think it was appropriate for a no-shoot zone. Authorities confirmed the target was unarmed. He was a silhouette wearing a hoodie, his hands in his pockets, holding two non-threatening objects. He bore a likeness to Trayvon. And this is a ghazal for our sons. No one knew 17 would be his last candle. There's always a flicker of hope, even after that last flame. History repeats itself in the worst ways. If you say their names out loud, Michael, Emmett, Trayvon, Sean, Amadou, you will burst into flames. How much repetition can we take before we grow tired of these stanzas? My teenage son looks more man than child. I wonder what storm will he ignite? This poem has no date, no place to rest its final line. As long as justice flickers in the distance, what is it about a brown boy's face that makes the world around him explode? A mother sees the sparkle in her son's eyes, but a stranger's fingers extinguish his flame. Juliet, how many mamas have to hold a candlelight vigil to get this spark started? And hopefully we have enough time now for Nicholas to share his poem. And I'm going to let Nicholas introduce himself.
Okay, so my name is Nicholas Howard Jennings, and today I'm going to read you a poem called The Story of Trayvon, and it's dedicated to Trayvon Martin. A 17-year-old boy with just snacks and candy in his hand doesn't realize he's being followed by a man named Zimmerman. He shot Trayvon with a gun. His mom and dad were not there, but they could still remember his beautiful voice. He was never heard from again. Zimmerman went to court, probably not ashamed of himself. The jury said that he was free and would not go to jail. Even though Trayvon is in heaven, you could still hear his beautiful voice, and you could still feel his passionate heart. If only his family could see him just one more time.
Thank you so much. Please continue to support poetsforferguson.tumblr.com and their GoFundMe campaign. Nicholas and I will be listening to everybody today. God bless. I'm not sure if we're supposed to read some more poems. I guess we will until we see that we're cut off, and that's fine if you just cut us off.
Chime in on the chat box here. Price.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, awesome. So my name is Irene Mathieu, and I'm reading from Nashville, Tennessee. I have a few poems for y'all. The first one is called Hydronomy. Inside you is a bayou, a lake where the ghosts you carry sit cypress knees up. Someone said the Choctaw first called the bowl of water in your belly Bayuk, small stream. You remember the roughness of your mother's fingers as she made a braided channel of your hair. You always had alligator teeth, the swamp murk under your tongue, warm and moving slowly. You were always a biter, had crawfish curled inside your wrists to pinch what dipped its fingers into the water. You have heron's shins. You flit through fields, taste salt marsh reeds, straws of sugar cane, free. Your eyes 2 blue moons on either end of a month, holding all of time, inside you, holding all of water. Okay. The next poem I have is called Our Boy, dedicated to Jordan Davis, Trayvon Martin, Renisha McBride, and the others. It's 2 years now our boy's been gone. 2 years since the brightness closed. Our boy was bright. If you could have seen him, he would have burned straight through your retinas into your brain, passed down the blood vessels in your neck, into your heart. You couldn't help smiling at our boy. They said those blood vessels are what the bullet blew out, lead dynamite going off in the dark tunnel that carried life all through his body. No train could pass through the wreckage, the system amuck. They say first your heart beats faster and then your breath picks up, trying to make the difference. But nothing undoes a mountain quicker than an explosion. You can go down the hill behind our house, where our boy used to play, and cross the muddy creek, fight the brambles until the woods give way to an open field. Beyond it, you'll see the bald skulls of mountains. Some men find nothing sacred, not even their mother. Some will kill because it's their inheritance. Our boy was bright, brighter than anything could be pulled from a mine. Our boy was the mountain. It's been years since anything sacred was respected. Blasting through that child's vessels must have been nothing. But then, you know nothing of how we made them, putting our love into a big mixing bowl and stepping aside so the earth could work through us, the most sacred work we ever did. The brightness burst out of us and we thought this was finally a light that would never turn off, even though we went to bed every night with prayers between our teeth. If you could have seen our boy, I swear, it might have put the pieces back in place. It might have closed the circle. We might have been safe all together. Okay. And the next poem I have is called Meditation. It's from my chapbook of poetry, which just came out from Dancing Girl Press, called The Galaxy of Origins. And this is the last poem in the collection. Meditation. Let us speak now of the breath that enters us like light, having the sound of loud silence in your dark room. Let us breathe light. Let us mold our aching limbs into the shapes of ourselves. Let us carve out ourselves, become vessels for the water, water for the life. Let us overflow and not be concerned. Let our love spill over the edges and flood the dark floor, drip down the stairs and into the streets. People will think it has rained and will leave their homes with noses out, taking in the smell of wet concrete. Let us speak now of the love that, as it leaves us, grows wide and deep, expands as it extends, multiplies itself from the sheer pleasure of being so abundant, stretches onward, always still touching you. Let us speak now of you, a wellspring, a clay censer, of your earthen heart, of your sapling legs, which you believe to be arthritic and prone to fracture. But if you let breath fill and light you up, small green leaves will unfold from your ankles. You will walk the way a forest does, with many small noises so harmonized they sound like silence. Let us speak now of silence, which is not to say that I am talking about quiet, which is the absence of noise. Let us utter only sounds that have been passed down from the universe, the sounds found deep in our bones from birth. We should sing our beings. That is a necessary noise. That is the loud silence of the most living. Let us breathe, overflow, be silent. Okay. So it looks like I have 1 minute. I'm just seeing if I have a short one really quick. Okay, this one's short and it's ending on a lighter note. It's called God Then Verb. If you find yourself involuntarily whispering before a crowd of fireflies, you may be in love, as this is a common but little discussed symptom of falling. They're blinking fluorescent pirouettes, you're laughing at your lover's joke, and suddenly you feel more verb than noun. So you make your voice small as yourself disappears into this minute. The hot darkness sitting on the grass, and the fireflies' bodies small spigots of light. You want the night to take you both in her mouth and make you more God than verb. Okay, so my time is up. Thank you all very much. This was really awesome. I'm so glad to the organizers for this, and I will be promoting it heavily. I have to go take my parents to the airport, but I will come back and watch more later. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Good morning, everybody. It's Alex Price, artistic virtuoso. No shameless plugs. However, you can get at me on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I'll be in the chat for a little while. I'm just glad to be a part of this. Again, Sasha, thank you so much for this opportunity and putting this thing here together. Um, I'm just
Sorry, so it looks like Alex is experiencing some technical problems, so we'll wait a few seconds for him to get back. Um, yeah, in the meantime, I would like to remind everybody that this is an event to raise funds for uh, people who have been suffered through legal costs from protesting in Ferguson. You can go to the GoFundMe campaign, which you can find the link to in the Tumblr page, which is poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. And with that, I might be able to perhaps read a very silly poem that I have dug up from a few years ago. While we wait for Alex to get back. Okay, so let's see. This is called I Walked to the Caltrain. Walking relatively fast towards the Caltrain station, I met a fellow fast-paced walker. Me and my fellow fast-paced walker kept pretty good pace, but then we hit a barrier. Middle-aged old ladies walking out of the Whole Foods, slowly in front. Not being in a rush, I adjusted. However, my fellow fast-paced walker could not take such a bottleneck. She skipped around, trying to skip through the group, diverting through the street, but was met with other obstacles such as hydrants, trees, and cars. After her failed attempts, she joined me back in a group of now slowly fast-paced walking. Once the group took a turn, we sped off on our merry way, but it quickly overtook her. Goodbye, fellow fast-paced walker. Until next time, hopefully we will not get distracted. That was actually a story I wrote, which I tried to turn into a poem in real time. And we actually have word from Alex here. So he will be joining us in shortly. In the meantime, Michael, how do you feel about going through? No response from Michael? Ah, okay, here we have. Alright, Alex. Let's see what you got.
Right. We live? I'm not sure if it's on me. Is it on me, fellas? Okay, I just didn't know. All right, I'm just gonna dive right in. If they murdered me in the streets, cold blood laid to sleep in asphalt sheets with shell casing pillowcases, case closed in an open fire courtroom, may these words consume you like monsoons of a coastal country, or thoughts in the mind of a man not accepted in his home country, or urbanization, gentrification killing our countryside. You killed me so easily. How do you feel about you inside? I mean, really. Don't you see I'm just like you inside? You probably couldn't recognize it at first, but as I lay here looking at my insides, none of my organs differ from those inside you. I know you were trying to do your job, but while you do it, can you prove you have a heart inside you? Now my organs are playing spiritual hymnals to the heavens as the voices from my fraternal brothers cry from the streets, crying out, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why, when will this killing be complete? To the officers, I don't know the protocol. I mean, you're just doing your job after all, but I have to ask, why is the order shoot to kill? I am one that believes if you take a man at the knees, the situation is just as real. I mean, a gunshot anywhere is something you can feel, but don't mind me. I'm just another of your dead civilians talking to you from the streets. Just a little food for thought. If one of your comrades was laying here instead of me, how angry would you be? Pause. To my siblings, we can't continue to be so stupid. They already look at us like animals, prefer for us to be mice caught in the trap where they catch us and put us in cages. I know the rage is filling inside you. I know it's there. You can't hide the feeling inside you. You are radioactive. That's why they use you on yourself. WMDs with an internal kill switch. Just when you're about to blow up, your fuse is lit
He emptied the clip fatality. So right now I empty a full clip fatality. 16 rounds for the sounds heard across the globe. Bop! 1 shot for the kid in Florida trying to get home. Bop! 2 shots for the girl facing charges for having a licensed weapon she should have left at home. 3 times for the man who caught 6 to the body and 2 to the dome. 4 more for the little boy dead on the floor. 5 and 6 belong to his brother who tried to settle the score. 7 is not a race thing. 8, it's a hate thing. 9, click clock, damn. Why can't we love our fellow man? 10, 11, 12. They thought Cupid was shooting arrows, but that's an AK in his hand. 13, I've lost cousins I've never even met. 14, 15, damn, this clip ain't even empty yet. Click, clack, bang, innocent or guilty. I should have been laying here slain. Temple pressed to the pavement like a nigga is praying. And we should be. Lord, forgive us all for not being all we could be. Maybe nobody cares that at the end of the day, death is something we all shall see. Who says we have to make them see it today? But if my blood running in the same streets they tried to trap me in is the very thing to wake them up, well, they did the same thing to my Savior, but our nation claims in God we trust. It seems that they've given up. I say God's will be done. All right, give me just a second. I'm going to pull up one more. I apologize for the technical difficulties, man. This technology is something serious. Hold on just a second while I get it together. Next piece is called Dear America. Am I still live? Good deal. Dear America, I'm writing you this letter because God has something to tell you. I've put it in poetry because most of you aren't listening. Oh, America, why must we tear down walls that you put up? Why is everything you put out always made up? Lies masqueraded as breaking news, mostly stories you made up. Anchor men and women, reality TV superstars, studded with MAC makeup, hiding the fact they are colonizing Mars, but feeding the people gossip of the lies of their stars. Oh, America. What exactly do we gain by extorting other countries? We have one of the best economies in the world, so it can't be about the money. It must be something deeper than the oil. It's something about this country that makes my blood boil, how it can have almost the strongest everything but still be as fragile as aluminum foil. I have toiled personally to the point I almost went to an insane asylum because this country treats its gifted like mental patients and makes diplomacy and democracy its item, when at home poverty and literacy are still a problem. Oh, America. Why haven't we learned anything from falling of empires? Kings can't put themselves on thrones, that's a birthright. But when the kings get too ahead of themselves, they tend to get dethroned. When a king no longer has a throne, that king no longer has a home. Some kings hung at the hands of your ancestors, America, before the bulletproof vest, America, like when people were stoned in the street, America. Why are your kings stoned in the streets, America? Explain this to me, America. Why do I have to go to the nearest privately owned prison to be around men who look like me, America? Why is your breaking news a conviction or a killing of a man who looks like me, a boy? Little boys, listen up. I don't know what you want to be when you grow up, but one thing I would advise you to do is grow up. Most the little boys, these little brown boys, want to grow up to be crack boys when to the rest of America they will never be anything more than their little black toys. Give them something shiny and expensive they probably can't afford. Put in there a direct line of perception and they'll kill each other for it. It's like they can't ignore it. You see, I know you can't ignore it. I'm writing you to say God sees it and he abhors it. You don't want to know the price of fame. I guarantee you can't afford it. Your life doesn't have a warranty, so whatever you give in your life is what you're getting back for it. Oh, America, I don't enjoy tearing down walls because of the walls you put up. The strongest man in the world doesn't win a war with a bazooka, but by standing up. God doesn't remember the ones that made a whole bunch of money. He remembers the ones that looked the rejected in the face and stood up for him. He remembers the one who fed him when he was hungry. And you may be wondering, when in the world was God hungry? Well, maybe he's those thousands of kids on the Mexican-American border coming over lost like they're looking for something. Or maybe he's that homeless guy you passed on the street on the way here. Maybe he's that Jesus fellow that many talk about, but the message is so unclear. Oh, dear America. Time has come and we now sit in the judgment seat. So will we band together as truly one nation under God, or will we defiantly accept defeat? Are we finally going to clean up our streets, or are we satisfied with more blood in them? Are we going to use our hands for good work, or are we considering it a job well done to have blood on them? In closing, America, you don't realize how the world wants to be just like you. Shiny and destructive, but they want to shine just like you. Put the first man in a plane, the first man on the moon. Look, man, they're flying off without you, taking ships to colonize on Mars and the moon. You think that if at any time the Creator destroys it all, will it end too soon? Or what makes you think if you are dirtying up the galaxy, the Maker wouldn't come through with a dustbuster and broom? America, the only reason it hasn't happened already is because you are being given room to go the other direction, sadly. Although I wish everyone could comprehend, most people are already infected. How do I know? Look at you, America. Everything you don't understand or doesn't entertain, you reject it. So sad to see how that feels. So sad you have to see how that feels. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Again, Sasha, thank you for the opportunity. You're doing awesome. I'm going to continue promoting this. Don't forget, go on and donate. Mouty 5,000, signing out from Texas, y'all. Peace and love.
Have been watching. Hey guys, this is Sasha, just checking in with you. If you have been watching all this time, first of all, thank you so much. We're so excited because the sun came out, which means we are only about 11 hours away from a full 24 hours of non-stop poetry, non-stop for the most part. Thank you guys so much for watching, for donating, for trending the hashtag. Keep going. We've gotten a lot of contributions to the GoFundMe, but we can always stand to see more. I'm really pleased with the way that this is shaping up and have had a lot of feedback from some of our poets who have just really enjoyed watching each other and sharing with each other and hearing each other for the first time. A lot of poets who don't know each other, never met each other, but are able to hear each other's work and kind of communicate back and forth over some similar experiences over the last few hours. So I'm really pleased with the way that all of this is shaping up. We have an awesome lineup coming at you in the next few hours. We have some small groups from Dallas, Texas that are going to be joining us in a little while. That'll be on and the next. That'll be within the next lineup. We have some poets from St. Louis, Missouri. We have some poets from Oakland, Rochester. Some poets in Portland, Maine. We have some poets in San Jose, Jersey City, New York, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and some poets in New Orleans. And we'll be closing out our live stream with some special poets from Ferguson, Missouri, and they'll be closing out our lovely live stream at the end. So make sure you stay tuned for that. If you don't watch anything else, if you haven't watched anything up until this point, make sure that you check out our final roster of poets that will be streaming from Washington University. Well, there'll be poets specifically from Ferguson. So we're really excited about that. Make sure that if you haven't already, donate if you can. If you can't, share the donation link with someone who can. You can find that on poetsforferguson.tumblr.com. There will be a link there for the GoFundMe that is available to you to share, to donate, to do what you need to do. That money goes directly into the legal defense fund of an organization called MORE, which stands for Missourians Organizing for Reform. and empowerment. And they are on the ground in Ferguson right now, helping protesters who are mired in legal fees or who've been charged with, ridiculous charges and can't pay the steep legal fees that come along with that. So that's what we're doing, is generating money for them and helping them out today with some financial support. So keep tuning in, keep watching, keep trending, use that hashtag poets for Ferguson, and we'll keep bringing you some brilliant poets of color between now and 6 p.m. Eastern time. Up next, I think we have Miss Ashley Hayes coming up right now.
Can you hear me? Yes, okay, awesome. I don't know what just happened there. Good morning. I am Ashley Hayes, and I'm here for Poets for Ferguson. Good morning, Sasha, and Manoj, and everyone online. This is probably one of the most important things I'll ever do before 9 a.m. in the morning. It's important that our voices get heard and that Ferguson knows that we're still watching and we haven't forgotten. So I'm going to do a few poems this morning. They're heavy, they're black, and they're sad, and I'm unapologetic about that. So this first piece is actually dates back to Trayvon Martin, so still relevant. It's called Alligators. In the year 1812, there were 3 known types of alligator bait: catfish, animal parts, and colored children. If you put your ear to the belly of a gator, you can hear the muffled screams of slave children, hear them clawing at a ribcage of a monster much bigger than their bodies, but nothing compared to the machine that caused their parents slaves, these babies, who were hung over boats and dangled from rope of fate their parents would know too soon. I imagine their mothers watch envious that their children may better now know freedom than they would still trapped in a country that made them slaves. In the year 2012, there were still 3 known types of alligator bait: catfish, animal parts, and colored children. And on February 26, 2012, Trayvon Martin was swallowed whole by a gator twice the size of his body, but nothing compared to the machine that calls it self-defense, because Skittles, like wallets, like whistles to white women, can be mistaken for guns, even when the zookeeper yells, "Do not fire," over telephone wires. You cornered this baby. Trayvon, your walking was mistaken for dangling on a rope, and you got a sweet tooth right around feeding time. I imagine your mother watch envious that her baby may better now know freedom than she would still trapped in a country that can't bring her justice. And I know you are tired of hearing about it. What a privilege it is to be tired of hearing about it. I imagine Nicole Bell is tired of hearing about it. I imagine the Diallos are tired of hearing about it. You asked me where my poems are about butterflies. I'm too busy boxing elephants to write poems about butterflies. I'm too busy teaching my brother how not to be on the wrong part of the Florida panhandle lest he be mistaken for bait. I am too busy trying to scratch the ribcage of a monster that may never set me free. So that's that poem. Next, I am going to do a series of haiku. Haiku are short poems, 3 lines, 5 syllables for the first, 7 for the second, 5 for the third. This one goes, how privileged are you that you can say home and know where that place is? The next one is, what does one do when the law of the land is not worth abiding by? Dear America, for clarification, could you please define free? Father, forgive us, for we know exactly what we do and who we do it to. So next I am going to do another poem that I wrote right in the wake of the Mike Brown shooting. Before I go to that, please be using your hashtag Poets for Ferguson. Please visit our GoFundMe page. It should be in the comments. Please make sure you donate. We really, really, really need to show Ferguson that we are here. We're raising bail money, money for food, and for supplies for Ferguson. So this next piece is called Nuisance. Can you all hear me good? Sasha, you can hear me good? Okay, awesome. Is there censorship? I forgot to ask. No censorship? Awesome. Okay. I fucking hate gnats. They're such a nuisance. Flying around, not making any noise, just there in your space, not bothering anything. When's the last time you killed a gnat? Doesn't it make life easier when they're gone, when winter freezes them out? One time, my little brother decided he would name a gnat. Thought it might keep him alive longer. He shrieked when it popped between my palms. Shit, I didn't know the thing had a name. Probably wouldn't have changed anything anyway. When's the last time you killed a black boy? They're such a nuisance, aren't they? Walking around, not making any noise, just there in your space, not bothering anything. Doesn't it make life easier when they're not there? When the police, winter freezes them out. One time, a black mother decided to name her son, thought that might keep him alive longer. She shrieked when she saw him popped by the palms of the police. They did not know he had a name. Not like it would have changed anything anyway. Just treat him like a dead thing, like a gnat flying in a room, and corner him until there is no more flying, no more black body, just a carcass to scrape off your hands. Dear black mothers and fathers, know that giving them a name will not make them less visible. As a matter of fact, do not bother naming him something camouflaged like Michael. Still won't make him any less nuisance. May as well name him something like Trayvon, so it seems more like a favor than a crime. Know that there ain't enough school or community service or fatherhood or lover on this green land to make him more human. May as well put him in a cage yourself. They do not see man. They see this wild danger, and since he does not belong to them anymore, he does not belong here. Dear little brother, I do not know how to tell you that any place you are is the wrong place to be when they arrive. I do not know how to tell you to be invisible. They will always see you. Dear lover, I do not know how to fix this, how to make you see that I will weep for you every time you leave the house. I do not know how to tell you this hurt is a language my body wants to reject but knows fluently. I do not know how to go back to where I come from. I have heard they have looted the place and left it to rot. Any place I am is a place I am not supposed to be. How do you keep anyone alive knowing that? How do you prepare yourself to be popped when you are not bothering anything? And that's that poem. How much time do I have left? Do I have time left? Keep going. Okay. So those are the dark poems. Those are actually the only ones I had prepared, but I can find some more real fast. Just give me a second. I know which one I'll do. This next piece is called Because There Must Be Some Reason Other Than Yourself. You're not like the rest of them. You well-spoken, you great test scores, you house among fields. You should be grateful. All that dark, all that sheep wool hair, and they still want you in the club. You ought to get a haircut. Ought to buy a new suit, ought to tuck all that African away in public, ought to be more behind the hyphen. Better leave your Africa at home. It will be there when you get back. Better show them white boys, better show them black boys that you ain't like them, that you different. Because you must be different, must be some kind of commodity, must be novel, must be taxidermy over the dean's office, must be trophy. Why else would they let you in? So that's that poem. Keep going, Sasha. Okay. Let me see what else I shall do for you guys. Oh, I found another haiku. Mother drinks grape juice, eats bread when child lies in blood, calls it communion. I think I will do Alabama for you all. And yeah, this one's Alabama. Visit the GoFundMe link. Hashtag Poets for Ferguson. For the white woman who asked me after an event at the University of Alabama, why is this just Black Women's Appreciation, and is there a White Women's Appreciation Day too? Reasons why there is no White Women's Appreciation Day. 1, because you think you can ask a question like that and not get punched in the face. 2, because you can ask a question like that and not get punched in the face. 3, the same reason why in Mario Kart you can get blue jets and lightning bolts when you're already in first place. 4, do not forget, it was my great-grandmother that raised your great-grandmother's kids while she went to burn her bra. You think the women's rights movement made us equal, and all it did was give you privilege. 5, because a news anchor can treat the idea of a mother living off $138 a month like it's in a new diet. 6, because Target can Photoshop a chunk of a Black girl's vagina off of her body. 7, because even after I explain this to you as nicely as I can, you still say to me, we've come too far to still be having this conversation. 8, if we've come as far as you think we have, then why don't we just call it Humans Appreciation? Because you think men don't deserve it, because marginalism is only relevant when you're not the one doing it. 9, George Zimmerman is signing autographs while Trayvon Martin's mother is still crying over her baby's grave. 10, because after you log off Facebook, I will tell my own mother, and she will be crying at her desk. She will not know what balm there is to fix this brand of pain, because after all the good raising she did, someone will insert herself and her me attitude and try to burn me to the ground, because that's the only thing she's ever known how to do. And I will tell her, Mom, you did everything you were supposed to do. You taught me good English. You bought me a new dress, but there just aren't enough poems to scrub this black off. But even when they try to silence us, even when they try to take the one thing we have for ourselves, I will make sure they hear this blood-covered voice. You will hear every Black woman I have ever grown from, and I will not be apologetic about it. Because if we do not appreciate our own for ourselves, tell me, who's going to do it for us? And that's that poem. I think that wraps up my set. Anybody know? Okay, well, I'm Miss Hayes. This is Poets for Ferguson. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hashtag Poets for Ferguson. Please, please, please donate to the Poets for Ferguson GoFundMe. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Hello there. I go by Rika G. Originally from Chicago. I live in Atlanta. Please visit, as she said, the Tumblr page to GoFundMe support Poets for Ferguson. And this first piece I'm going to do is called Introduction. Presenting the anti-pacifist so passionate, she probably passed the piss, the pause, and posed for pics with picket signs and fellow activists with black fist picks protruding from their roots like the '68 Olympics, then huff puff and piss off people passing me by like she kept doing Far Side. And in our time, Rika G playing the Peter Piper progressively pressing issues, picking peppers and Pierce minds. Peering eyes upon the lives built on lies upon high as a priority listed is the majority, marginalizing minorities, prophesizing the poor as immoral beings, peons, lean on me like Joe Clark Morgan Freeman. They poisoning our seeds and poaching off our little seedlings, seeking stakes higher than a series of narcotic addicts sitting atop the Sears Tower thinking, man, but you ain't got a pot to piss in. Reality is very different from the American dream, especially kings, primarily because parents are paranoid, predicting pretty poignant scenes of preparing their baby's eulogy. Privy to all the foolery, the propaganda is outlandish, and there are no plans to reprimand it, just more depictions of prison-ready brothers and catty-petty sisters. Like our youth are bred to be vicious. Well, I'm said to be spitting lyrics in various editions, never editing shit, and pinpointing every missile. I don't drop bombs. Drones are for the government. My ammunition's targeted strategically for carnage. Here, there's nothing but love and anger. Here, the left of my chest, what's left of it, pounding with precision, perfectly immersed in rhythm and frustration and sadness and elation and illusion and jest and confusion. I beg, peace, please. For what premiered as a whisper has produced panic, peril, and screams, thanks in part to practices put in place to tear apart our cultural fabric, and now is ripping at the seams. Our predecessors are probably rolling restlessly in their graves, pessimistically pondering ways to part with the shame. Did they let us down, or they, and Panthers, had less participants in their party than we have attendees at a probate, and we cannot pretend that these things are okay. Perhaps I'm speaking to myself because nobody hears me. I'm praying like a predator because nobody scans me. So pensive with the pen, plotting to penetrate your memory, puncturing private thoughts with an exemplary use of imagery, the diction painting pictures, visions of a visionary. Jackie Owens with the wordplay, I'm warming up like preliminaries. Pardon, I'm the persistent poet, pitching fits, composing more pieces than dropped porcelain. Push the limits, question the system, turn enemies to victims. Peace. So I have a cold. I'm recovering from a cold, so pardon me on that. This one is a little softer of a piece. And, yeah, it's called Eye Contact. I hesitate to look into your eyes because they tell the story of your soul, a glimpse into the universe of you. Namaste. Afraid to examine your terrain, though I may not leave a trace. I fear you may feel my presence as an intrusion, but I come in peace like Hotep greetings. Awaken a new consciousness with ignorance fleeting. The more we form a spiritual collusion, but the marks of worry on your face don't show. And what isn't conveyed by the vibrations of your vocal cords, what requires uncategorized communication, storms like a raging Category 4 pouring us into a container with no bounds, pollution, or words. What goes unsaid and nevertheless gets heard. And what links us deeper than the physical of pupils, fixated in tune with the rhythm of ancestors beating on drums in our chest, is the quest I venture on, only to discover that we bear similar burdens, and our pain bears similarities. The hurt is a chain roped around secrets untold that lasso our thoughts, securing them in obscurity, producing stifling inhibitions, rivaling decisions we've made previously and those to come. And it's not always bad. Happiness is like a smile you can share with anyone at any time. That's pleasant and fine, but in your eyes, I embark on a journey with you that has no end, indefatigably pledging to endure your hazing, crossing over with a bond unbreakable like that of an atom to itself, lost. On an unguided tour through the maze of your mind, I find I in your gaze. I find that I was never really lost in the first place. I spend life in your soul's gold currency as though you were my birthplace. You are the sunset and darkness that turns dusk to night. The brightness that gradually evolves from daybreak at dawn to the blinding illumination of high noon. I testify as witness to the light of you. My days become measured in times of you. My interpretation of the world is expanded upon based on how everything correlates with your being. I can only read in the nuance with which you've authored your existence on this earth. The lines written by your footsteps, the way you autograph the air with each breath, demonstrating a caliber of penmanship studied by ancient scribes. You can tell by the hieroglyphics etched upon those walls you built up. Let them down. After all, What is gravity but the way you force me to fall victim, captive rather, and coerce me into handcuffs of curiosity and intrigue? You are possibility, gains, and defeat. The eyes can be beguiled, but the soul is wise beyond the temporal length of this reality. Perhaps that explains why we exchange glances. Perhaps that explains why we spend lifetimes together whenever we exchange glances, see, woven are our worlds infallibly. We are companions in this strange humanity. And I can do one more, right? Yeah, okay, cool. This one I actually wrote for Mike Brown tribute that I had at my school. Yeah, I don't have the title, so it's called Hoodie Weather, I guess. I wrote this 36 days away from autumnal equinox, more commonly referred to as hoodie weather. And due to events in our recent history, we perceive this to be the beginning of the most dangerous season for our black men until the injustice in Ferguson furthered those sentiments. Every 28 hours, a black person in the U.S. is murdered at the hands of a European American extrajudicially, with or without a badge, with or without cause, and we mourn our losses. And on Monday mornings, we return to their classrooms and to their offices, and we smile, and we nod, and we carry on like the luggage allotted passengers for air travel free of charge it to the game. We trawl that baggage around like the Lady Badu sang to, and we too gonna hurt ourselves, and we do. Before you step to me about black on black crime rates that are socioeconomically structured, poor on poor crime, let's focus on the fact that among our bourgeois class, we choose to cast shade while others cast stones upon our race, and I thought we were the illuminated ones. If Crips and Bloods can exert amalgamated effort for the greater good, then tell me, what is necessary for our Greeks, athletes, execs of organizations, and the general student population to follow suit like tailors in dressing rooms, mending the threads that stitch us together like a rare batik, soaked in wax tears and stained by hardships, overstand. And similarly to individuals in a healthy relationship, it is imperative that we first love ourselves before anyone else will. And at 2 a.m. in the morning, I couldn't find a poetic way to stress that this happens to our women too. And thinking about marching in the rain with Congressman John Lewis the other day, what it must feel like to march the same step 50 years straight. However, last semester a classmate warned me, it's not the climate of the 50s and 60s anymore, as if insisting on systematic equality is an antiquated activity. Sticks and stones, like rubber bullets and wooden pellets, can in fact break bones, but nothing can emaciate the soul. Did I mention that it's almost fall? Which indicates the commencement of yet another school year that will disproportionately fail to educate black students but successfully file them into jail cells. I maintain the right to be angry. And they say we are violent, but violence is setting children up for failure. Violence is creating food deserts when there isn't enough profit in humanity. Violence is forcing poets to pick up the pen when there is nothing more to say. What are future mothers to say to the wombs when the American spirit of liberty and justice has festering wounds deeper than the depths of the Nile the people of our nation refuse to crawl out of? My question is, who will improve it? And that's that piece. I can do 2 more if that's my phone. So I have to find some more that I can do. Give me a second here. I wrote a love poem recently, so I think I'm gonna do that one. All right, this is it doesn't have a name yet, but it's a poem. I got a Jones for. My writing fingers get to itching. This isn't cursive. It's me shaking her out of my system. I could go for a hit right now. 12 can't see me with her. They will book me. Why do we call them 12 anyway? Anyway, that she has served to me urges me to some degree of servitude. I will willingly subjugate myself to her mercy. And the very curse of she perturbs me. It's the darndest thing, really. Aside from being locked in her gravitational field like Saturn's rings, she beckons me as elegantly as summer does autumn, and my leaves turn colors for her. Hell, I leave all others for her, belligerently drunk in love. And we be all times a day. She be all types of day. Not Beyonce, but dues have been paid. I put the fee up. Boy, I say I got a Jones for her. And if she heard me rehearsing this, she surely stop and say, baby, you have a Jones. And I map out catacombs carved by writing utensil impressions. Any paper bearing her name is a religious text. She is pivotal in my spiritual regimen. I could write her until the tiny metal sphere pops out of my pen, rolls off my desk, lodges itself in the crevice of my hardwood floors, and I somehow find it poetic enough to excite me about her again. Hear what I'm saying, bruh? Cardiologists see her name in my EKG. The Red Cross been complaining that I donate Gee, I took a breathalyzer test and it read the date we met. I deduct the twitch that makes me exclaim a bunch of sweet shit. She's it, and I'm lit. I want to get clean, rehabilitate myself, and establish an addiction all over again. How open is that? This is a Billy Paul meets Billy Ray Cyrus moment because we got a thing going on. And I hope she don't break my achy, breaky heart. Her potency is powerful enough to shred galaxies apart or vacuum seal black holes from afar. She puts constellations in my veins and the gases glow like lightning bug butts dancing a jig to the sound of crickets under magnolia trees. She's turned me into fiend. Love hurts and she is anesthesia. Doves cry tears of joy when they people. I gotta love Jones. And one more. Please go ahead and go to poetsforferguson.tumblr.com and check out the GoFundMe. This one, let's see. What was I doing today? Yeah. I think that may be it. I don't have my poems with me, so unfortunately that is it for me. Turning it over to who's next. Oh, I'll wait for this. He said, thanks, no worries. Thank you so much. That's clear. You didn't know I was sick.
Cool. Thank you so much, Erica. That was fantastic, and the fact that you did all of that in a cold while having a cold was nothing short of extraordinary. So this is the end of our, well, not the entire thing, but this is the end of this particular segment. We'll be posting a new link on the Facebook group immediately after for the next segment of the live stream. And if you're in the Tumblr page, just refresh the page, and it should show up. Once again, thanks everyone for all the support and yeah, all the contributions. This is fantastic. Remember to go to the GoFundMe page and visit the poetsforferguson.tumblr.com page. All right, we'll see you soon.